The holographic projection shimmered. It showed a grand, gleaming hall filled with beings of 100 different species. They sat in tiered seats, their diverse forms a testament to galactic unity. At the center of the hall, on a raised platform, stood a single human, Ambassador Elias Vance. His face showed calm strength. He was speaking, his voice a quiet murmur through the translator. "We come in peace," his voice echoed, though the words were not his but the translator's cool electronic tones. "We seek only understanding, friendship." A sudden harsh sound ripped through the broadcast, a loud, guttural roar. The projection shimmers. The camera angle shifted, tightens on Vance. Two towering, multi-limbed beings, identified by the overlay as Vorlag enforcers, step forward. Their chitinous armor gleams. They grab the ambassador. His eyes widened. A collective gasp rippled through the viewing rooms across Earth. Valerius Thorne sat in his command chair aboard the *HDRS Vengeance *. The ship's bridge was normally alive with the soft hum of systems and the low chatter of crew, but now a terrible silence pressed down. The holographic projection of the council chamber floated before them. Valerius's knuckles were white where they gripped the armrests. His jaw was locked. He heard a sharp intake of breath from his tactical officer, Lieutenant Anya Sharma, beside him. Her usually steady hands trembled. The Vorlag enforcers dragged Ambassador Vance to a smaller, dark dais. A low, rhythmic chant began from the council members. It vibrated through the ship's speakers. A large, ornate blade, crafted from some shimmering, dark metal, was presented to the chief Vorlag dignitary, Speaker Cathar. Cathar was a colossal figure, his 8 eyes fixed on Vance. His voice boomed, translated into a harsh, metallic rasp. "By decree of the Galactic Council, human Ambassador Elias Vance is found guilty of destabilizing interspecies harmony, guilty of cultural pollution, guilty of 1,000 other crimes not yet understood. For these offenses, and for the preservation of galactic order, the penalty is execution." Valerius's breath hitched. He felt the cold dread spread through his chest. He remembered Vance's last message, sent just hours ago. "Trust, Valerius, always trust, even when it is hard." The blade lifted. It gleamed under the council hall's harsh lights. The screen showed Vance's face one last time. A flash of defiant sorrow, not fear, just profound sadness. The blade descends. A terrible, wet sound. The broadcast goes blank. The silence on the *Vengeance bridge was thicker now, suffocating. Valerius felt a tremor run through his whole body. It was not coldness or shock. It was a slow, burning rage, cold as the void and sharp as a broken starship hull. He heard a distant sob, quickly stifled from the navigation station. A console beeps weakly. Valerius stood. His chair scraped against the deck plating. The sound seemed too loud in the stillness. He walked to the main view screen. It showed the cold, distant stars. He saw nothing but the image of Vance's final moments. His voice, when he speaks, was a low growl, barely a whisper. "Helm," he said, his voice rough, "set course for Sol system, full emergency warp. Notify all fleet assets, code Gamma 72 Delta." Anya looked at him, her eyes wide. "Sir, that code means—" Valerius turned. His eyes, usually a calm blue, were now hard like chips of ice. "It means we prepare for annihilation, Lieutenant." His voice was flat, devoid of emotion, yet carried an icy weight that settled deep in the stomachs of every crew member present. The air in the bridge seemed to crackle with unspoken tension. Valerius felt the faint vibration of the ship's powerful engines spooling up. Each thrum was a beat in a gathering storm. He walked to his private quarters, the silence of the corridor echoing his own internal turmoil. He pulled open a drawer. Inside, nestled on a soft cloth, was a small, polished wooden bird, a tiny, intricate carving. Vance had given it to him years ago, a token of appreciation for a difficult, successful mission. "Even a small thing can bring great change," Vance had said then, his eyes twinkling. Valerius closed his hand around the bird. The wood felt smooth, warm. The memory of Vance's gentle wisdom clashed with the fiery resolve now burning within him. He steps into the adjacent comms room. The main screen activates. His younger sister, Dr. Elias Thorne, appears on the screen. Her face was pale. Her usually bright, curious eyes were shadowed with grief and shock. She was in her research lab on Earth, surrounded by holographic displays of alien languages and cultural data. "Valerius," she whispered, her voice thick with unshed tears. Did you see it?" Valerius nodded once. His throat felt tight. "I saw it, Aris." She clutched a data slate to her chest. "He believed in them, Valerius. He truly believed in finding common ground. He said they were just misguided." Valerius stared at her. "Misguided?" he asked, his voice harsh. "They executed him, Aris, on live broadcast for the galaxy to see." Aris flinched as if struck. "I know, but why? There has to be more to it. He wouldn't have been so naive. He was preparing for something. He sent me a strange data packet last week. Just code, encrypted. I haven't been able to crack it." Valerius felt a jolt. "A data packet? What kind of code?" Aris shook her head. "I don't know. It's unlike anything I've seen. Not standard council encryption. It looks like old Vorlag script combined with something else, something organic almost." Valerius considered this. "Try to decipher it, Aris, every single byte. It might be important." He paused, then added, "And stay safe. This isn't over, not by a long shot." He cuts the connection. The wooden bird pressed into his palm. Vance, the man who championed peace, had also always planned for every eventuality. He wasn't naive, he was calculating. Valerius walked back to the bridge. The ship vibrated with the power of the emergency warp drive. The stars outside were stretching into streaks of light. The Vengeance was flying home. The journey to Sol system took 3 days at emergency warp. During this time, the Human Defense Republic's Fleet Command broadcast the execution footage on an endless loop across all public channels on Earth and its colonies. The galaxy watched. Humanity watched. The initial shock slowly hardened into a collective, cold fury. On the Vengeance Valerius began the grim task of war preparations. He spent hours in the ship's simulation chambers, running combat scenarios against every known council race. He modified tactical doctrines. He pushed his crew to their limits. Lieutenant Anya Sharma, his tactical officer, proved invaluable. She was a short woman, deceptively mild-mannered, with sharp, intelligent eyes that missed nothing. She had a photographic memory for ship schematics and weapon specifications. "Commander," she said one cycle, as they reviewed Vorlag cruiser designs, "their heavy cruisers have a blind spot in their ventral weapon arrays when they engage at maximum velocity. A 2.7-second window before their targeting relays compensate for the stress on the power conduits." Valerius leaned closer to the holographic projection. 2.7 seconds? That's precise, Lieutenant. How did you find that? Anya adjusted her glasses. "Minor energy fluctuation patterns from their recent skirmishes with the Zalosian pirates. Publicly available sensor logs, deep-scanned and cross-referenced with known energy signatures of their primary disruptor cannons." Valerius nodded, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. "Excellent work, Lieutenant. We'll exploit that. Can we reconfigure our torpedo targeting systems to account for it?" "Easily, Commander," she replied, her voice calm and steady. "It will require a new firing solution algorithm, but it's well within our engineers' capabilities." Meanwhile, Aris worked tirelessly in her lab. The encrypted data packet from Vance was a puzzle that consumed her every waking moment. The old Vorlag script was a dead language, rarely seen outside of ancient texts. It was meant to confuse. But the organic elements, flowing lines, and patterns were new. They hinted at something else, something not of standard council design. She remembered Vance's last casual conversation with her. "Aris," he had said during their weekly comms call, "always look for the thread that doesn't fit, the one that's been woven in by accident or by design for a specific purpose." She isolated the organic patterns. They pulsed faintly. She tried cross-referencing them with known biological signatures. Nothing. Then she remembered an obscure, theoretical paper Vance had shown her, about sentient energy signatures, a fringe theory about a rare, highly advanced species known only as the Architects, whose technology was rumored to be biomechanical. The Architects were thought to be myths. No one had ever seen them. Aris felt a thrill of cold dread. Could Vance have been in contact with something so ancient, so powerful? She spent another day, fueled by synth coffee, feeding the patterns into advanced quantum decryption algorithms. The breakthrough came suddenly. The organic lines weren't just patterns. They were a compressed data stream hidden within the dead language. The decryption program Word then spat out a single word translated from the ancient Vorlag. Puppet, followed by coordinates for a hidden moon in a forgotten sector far from any major council trade routes. Eris stared at the screen. Puppet, the word echoed in her mind. It implied control, someone pulling strings. She immediately attempted to contact Valerius, but his ship was still in warp transit, all long-range comms blocked for security. On Earth, the news of the execution had transformed society. The initial outrage had solidified into a quiet, grim resolve. Factories shifted from civilian goods to war production. Old ships, long in storage, were refitted. Recruitment centers were overflowing. General Evelyn Reed, the Supreme Commander of Human Defense Republic Forces, a stern woman with a reputation for ruthless efficiency, addressed the public. Her voice was calm, yet it carried the weight of a planet's sorrow and anger. They thought us weak, they thought us naive, they thought us divided, they were wrong. Her image was projected onto every public square, every comm screen. Ambassador Vance believed in peace. He died for that belief. Now we will show them the other side of humanity, the side that protects its own, the side that will never forgive, the side that will never forget. A ripple of assent, a collective growl, echoed across the globe. Valerius's fleet, designated Dawnfall, arrived in Sol's system. It was not a massive fleet by galactic standards. Barely a dozen capital ships with supporting frigates and destroyers. But each ship was a marvel of human engineering, armed with experimental weaponry and advanced stealth systems. The HDRS Vengeance was at its head, sleek and black, like a predator emerging from the shadows. Valerius stepped onto the deck of the fleet's flagship, the HDRS Indomitable Asterisk, where General Reed awaited him. The air in the flag bridge was thick with the scent of recycled oxygen and quiet anticipation. Reed's eyes were sharp. Commander Thorne, welcome home, and I am truly sorry for your loss. Elias was a good man. Valerius nodded. He was more than that, General. He was a beacon. Reed gestured to the tactical display. A holographic map of the galaxy shimmered before them. Fleet Command has authorized your proposal. Code Gamma 72 Delta. Annihilation. But how do we achieve it, Valerius? We are outmatched in numbers, if not in ingenuity. Valerius points to a cluster of yellow dots on the map, representing key Vorlag supply lines and military outposts. Annihilation isn't just about destroying ships, General. It's about dismantling their ability to wage war, their very infrastructure. We cripple their logistics, disrupt their communications, and sow discord among their council allies. We show them that their order is fragile. He pauses. And we start with their key resource-gathering worlds. Not just destroy them, but render them useless, poisoned, uninhabitable. A message, a permanent scar. Reed's eyes narrowed. That's extreme, Valerius. The Council will see it as barbarism. Valerius's lips thin. They declared us barbarians when they murdered our ambassador. Let us live up to their expectations. We will target worlds that provide crucial resources for the Vorlag war machine, not populated planets. This is strategic, not wanton. He explained his strategy, hit-and-run attacks using stealth-focused frigates, followed by a primary strike force that cripples infrastructure. Then a specialized terraforming denial team. This team uses unique, adaptable human technology to disrupt a planet's ecosystem, rendering it incapable of sustaining life that the Council needs, without causing a massive, immediate cataclysm. It's a slow death, a poisoned well designed to drain their resources and force them to divert attention. It's a psychological weapon. Reed studied him for a long moment, then slowly nodded. Approved. The Vengeance will lead the first wave. Its stealth capabilities are unmatched. You will have 2 destroyer squadrons and a full complement of combat drones. Your sister, Dr. Thorne, has also been trying to reach you. She's found something significant about Vance's last transmission. I've cleared her for direct access to your ship's comms once you jump out of Sol. Valerius felt a surge of grim purpose. Understood, General. We are ready. Back on the Asterisk Vengeance Asterisk, Valerius received Aris's encrypted message. He viewed the decrypted word, puppet, and the coordinates. A chill ran down his spine. Anya, he said, leaning over the tactical display. Cross-reference these coordinates with known council systems, and run a deep scan for any hidden anomalies. Anya, efficient as ever, typed furiously. Commander, these coordinates point to an uncharted moon, designated X7b. No known council presence. Sensors indicate high-energy readings, but they are suppressed, consistent with cloaked installations. Valerius's mind raced. A hidden moon, a puppet. Vance was onto something. This isn't just about a diplomatic incident. It's about a hidden power behind the council. He made a decision. Anya, we will proceed with the initial strike plan on Vorlag resource worlds. But I want a small, highly specialized team, led by Lieutenant Jax Kane, to investigate X7b use of stealth transport. They are to observe, report, and extract. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. Jax Kane was the Vengeance *S infiltration specialist, a lean, quiet man with eyes like polished obsidian. He had a reputation for getting in and out of impossible situations. The first wave of attacks began. The Vengeance *, along with its 2 destroyer escorts, HDRS Fury and *HDRS Wrath, jumped out of Sol. Their targets were 3 Vorlag asteroid mining facilities and a rare earth element extraction world. The Vengeance approached the first target, the asteroid field, cloaked. Valerius watched the sensor readings. "They haven't even registered us," he murmured, a grim satisfaction in his voice. Human stealth technology was decades ahead of the Council's. It relied on manipulating quantum fields, making their ships effectively invisible to conventional sensors. The Fury and Wrath * uncloak, unleashing a torrent of specialized disruptor torpedoes. The torpedoes were designed to bypass Vorlag shielding, hitting critical infrastructure directly. The asteroid mining facility, a massive, rotating construct, exploded in a silent bloom of fire. Debris scattered into the void. It was over in moments. No casualties for humanity. The second target, a rare earth extraction world named Xylo Prime, was more heavily defended. Orbiting defense platforms launched barrages of energy weapons. Valerius's ships responded with precise, coordinated fire. Anya called out targets. Commander, 2 defense platforms locked onto the Wrath. Evasive maneuvers required. Wrath, execute a V-pattern dodge, Valerius ordered. Vengeance, target their primary power conduits. Fury, flank them from starboard, focus fire on their shield generators. The human ships moved with an agility that surprised the rigid Council forces. They dart and weave, their experimental sublight engines giving them unmatched speed. Their energy weapons, though fewer in number, hit with devastating precision. The terraforming denial teams, small shuttles equipped with specialized drones, were deployed. These drones didn't destroy. They released microscopic, self-replicating nanites that infiltrated the planet's atmospheric processors and underground water reserves. The nanites were engineered to slowly break down specific trace minerals crucial to the Vorlag's industrial output, and to introduce inert biological agents that disrupt their specific agricultural cycles. It would take months for the full effect to be felt. It was a slow poison, a crippling blow designed to starve their war machine without immediate, visible planetary destruction. The Council forces were left bewildered. Their sensors registered no mass casualties, no huge explosions. Yet their key resource worlds were suddenly dying. Slowly. This was the annihilation Vance had hinted at, not fire and brimstone, but a slow, calculated suffocation. Weeks passed. The Dawnfall fleet executed similar strikes across a dozen Vorlag systems. Each time the results were the same, devastating, silent, and deeply unsettling to the Council. They couldn't understand it. Their usual battle doctrines, focused on overwhelming firepower, were useless against a foe that vanished after a surgical strike and left behind a ghost of death. The Council called emergency sessions. Speaker Cathar was furious. His 8 eyes gleamed with rage as he addressed the assembled Council members. "The humans are barbarians. They do not fight as civilized species do. They do not conquer. They merely..." Poison, a Zalosian diplomat, a tall, slender being with shimmering scales, spoke up. "Perhaps, Speaker, they are not barbarians. Perhaps they are. Something new, something we do not understand. Our sensors detect only minimal damage, yet our resource output reports are plummeting. Worlds are failing. This is not war. This is sickness. Cathar slammed a multi-jointed fist onto his podium. It is an act of war, an act of aggression beyond measure. He pushed for a full-scale invasion of Sol's system to crush humanity once and for all. But other council members hesitated. They had seen the footage of Vance's execution. They now wondered if they were too hasty. The fear of humanity's sickness spread. Meanwhile, Jax Kane's team reached X7b, the hidden moon. Their stealth transport, the Shadow Moth Asterisk, slipped through the void, completely undetectable. Jax, a man of few words, gave precise orders. Scan for heat signatures, any unusual energy fluctuations. No direct comms with the Vengeance until we have actionable intelligence. They found a hidden base, burrowed deep within the moon's rocky crust. It wasn't a Vorlag base. It was older, more sophisticated. The energy signatures were unlike anything Jax had ever encountered. They were vast, pulsing, and somehow alive. The Asterisk Shadow Moth landed silently in a shadowed ravine. Jax and his two-person team, Lieutenant Elias Vance, no relation to the Ambassador but a distant cousin, a sharp-witted tech specialist, and Sergeant Finn O'Malley, a combat engineer with a dry wit, exited the ship. The air on the moon was thin, cold, and smelled faintly of ozone and ancient dust. Elias set up a long-range scanner. Commander, the energy readings are off the charts. It's like a small star is buried inside this moon. And I'm picking up a unique signal, a single repeating burst. It's a high-frequency, complex signal unlike any council communication. Jax nodded. Can you translate it? Elias shook her head. It's not a language. It's more like a mathematical sequence, a pattern, and it's broadcasting on a frequency that only the most advanced council-level comms would pick up. It's almost as if it's meant to be received by only a select few. Finn, meanwhile, had found a hidden entrance, covered by what looked like a natural rock formation, but was perfectly smooth and unnaturally regular. Commander, he whispered over the comms, this isn't natural, it's a door, and it's old, really old. Jax approached the entrance. He ran his hand over the surface. It felt cool, slick, almost organic. This aligned with Aris's description of the organic patterns in Vance's data packet. They activated their cloaking suits, making them invisible to the naked eye and most common sensors. They slipped through the narrow opening. Inside, the air was warmer, humid, and carried a faint, sweet smell like ozone and growing things. The walls pulsed with a soft, bioluminescent light. They were not constructed from metal or rock. They seemed to be grown. The corridors wound and twist. There were no straight lines. This was not council architecture. This was something else entirely. They navigated deeper into the facility. Elias's scanner chirped. Commander, I'm detecting a large chamber ahead. And multiple life signs, Vorlag council officials, and something else, something large and non-organic. Jax held up a hand, signaling caution. They reached the chamber. It was massive, circular, with a high, vaulted ceiling that glows with intricate, pulsing patterns. In the center, a colossal, crystalline structure dominated the space. It hummed with power. Around it, several council dignitaries, including Speaker Cathar, were present. But what truly captured their attention was the being connected to the crystal. It was not of any known species. It was a being of pure energy, contained within a shimmering, humanoid form, radiating a quiet, ancient power. Tendrils of light connected it to the crystal. It spoke, its voice a symphony of pure thought, translated directly into their minds. The humans, they are adapting, Cathar bowed low. Great architect, their methods are crude, barbaric, but they are effective. They destroy our infrastructure without engaging our fleets directly. The architect emanated a low hum. Their method is surprising, unpredictable. They do not fight as we program the council races to fight. Jax exchanged a shocked look with Elias. Programmed? Elias mouthed silently. They listened further. The architect was discussing the council's reaction. It talked about maintaining the balance, guiding galactic evolution, and weeding out chaotic elements. It referred to the council races as experiments. It discussed humanity as an anomaly. The human ambassador, Elias Vance, the architect's thought voice echoed. He began to understand. He was too close to discovering the truth of our purpose. He had to be removed. The council's fear was easily manipulated to this end. Jax felt a wave of sickening understanding. The ambassador was not a victim of a diplomatic incident. He was assassinated to protect a secret. The council were puppets. The architects were pulling the strings. They are the puppets Vance referred to. He signaled to his team. Extract. We have what we came for. They made their way out, their hearts pounding. The truth was far more terrifying than any war. This revelation, the existence of the architects manipulating the entire galaxy, changed everything. It also explained Vance's final, defiant sadness, not fear for himself, but despair for a galaxy living a lie. Back on the HDRS Vengeance asterisk, Valerius received Jax's encrypted report. He watched the playback of the architects' discussion. His face was grim. They control the council, he said, his voice flat. They orchestrated Vance's murder. They see us as an anomaly, a threat to their galactic order. Anya, standing beside him, looked horrified. Commander, this changes our mission entirely. We can't just fight the council. We have to fight whoever these architects are. Valerius nodded slowly. And we can't tell the general public not yet. The galaxy would collapse into chaos. We have to keep this compartmentalized. Humanity can't fight a hidden war and a public war at the same time. He contacted Eris. She was still on Earth, working with a small team of intelligence analysts. Eris, I have your answers, and they are far worse than we imagined. He sent her the data from X7B. Eris watched the footage, her face crumpled with grief and rage. The architects, she whispered. The myth, they're real. And they killed Elias because he knew too much. She began to put together the pieces. The old Vorlag script, combined with the organic patterns. It was Vance's way of telling her about the architects without revealing it directly, knowing she'd eventually uncover the connection to ancient, forgotten lore. They manipulate entire species, Eris said, her voice trembling. They prune, they guide, for their idea of balance. This isn't just about galactic power, it's about cosmic control. Valerius clenched his fist. Then we fight them. Not on their terms, on ours. The annihilation of the Vorlag supply lines continued, serving as a smokescreen. The council was in disarray, debating their response, while humanity quietly shifted its focus. Valerius and his command staff began planning. They realized they could not directly confront the architects. Their power was too great, their locations unknown. They had to unravel their influence piece by piece. Their control comes from manipulating information, guiding the council's decisions, Valerius reasoned. They control the flow of data, the political narratives. We hit them where it hurts the most. Their carefully constructed order. Eris, working from Earth with her intelligence team, confirmed that the architect's influence was subtle, through high-frequency thought patterns projected into key council figures, guiding their actions without overt mind control. It was like a constant, subtle whisper. They'd been doing it for millennia. Humanity's unique mental diversity and stubborn individualism made them resistant to such subtle manipulation, an unforeseen anomaly for the architects. This was humanity's strength. Valerius's new strategy shifted from terraforming denial to information warfare. The Dawnfall fleet stopped poisoning worlds. Instead, they began a new type of mission. Using their stealth capabilities, they infiltrated council data nodes, deep space communication hubs, and even government archives. They didn't destroy. They implanted. They planted false flag operations, created fake data trails, and subtly altered historical records to sow discord between council races. They leaked damaging information about specific council members, fabricated but believable. They exposed corrupt dealings that never happened, but that played on existing prejudices. The goal was to make the council distrust itself, to shatter the unity the architects had so carefully cultivated. We turn their puppets against each other, Valerius explained to Anya. We show them the cracks in their own foundation. We make them question everything they thought they knew. Anya looked at him, a flicker of unease in her eyes. Commander, that's psychological warfare on a galactic scale. It's insidious. Valerius nodded. It is, but they started it. They played us for fools. They murdered Elias. This isn't about pride, Anya. This is about survival. And justice. One such mission involved the Zalosian trade routes. The Zalosians were a proud, mercantile species, easily offended. Valerius's fleet, using a newly developed ghost drive that left no warp signature, bypassed their extensive border patrols. Jax Kane's team, with Alara's tech skills, planted forged documents in a major Xylosian trade hub. These documents implicated the Vorlag in price-fixing schemes against Xylosian merchants, and showed fake, secret treaties that favored Vorlag expansion at Xylosian expense. The Council races had a fragile unity built over millennia by the architects. Now humanity was carefully dismantling it. The information warfare began to bear fruit. Tensions rose within the Council. Minor skirmishes broke out between Xylosian and Vorlag trade convoys. Public debates turned hostile. The architects, for the first time, seemed confused. Their experiments were behaving erratically. The anomaly that was humanity was disrupting their carefully controlled ecosystem. On Earth, Aris worked tirelessly to decode more of Vance's hidden messages. She found fragmented logs, written in his own hand, detailing his growing suspicions about the architects. He suspected them of secretly guiding the Council's foreign policy, especially regarding newcomers like humanity. He had even tried to establish contact with dissident elements within some Council races, those who felt their species' true history was being suppressed. Aris realized that Vance wasn't just a diplomat. He was a deep-cover investigator, piecing together the puzzle of galactic control. He was trying to warn humanity to give them the tools to fight back, should his fears be confirmed. His death was not just an execution, it was a desperate attempt to silence him. Valerius received a coded message from General Reed. "Commander, the Council is spiraling. Minor conflicts are erupting. Your strategy is working. But we need a direct hit, something that shatters their complacency and forces the architects into the open." Valerius thought. A direct hit. Something that targeted not just the Council, but the architects' perception of control. He remembered the architects' words. "They do not fight as we program the Council races to fight." That was it. Humanity must fight in a way that was utterly alien to the architects' understanding of warfare. "Anya," Valerius said, "prepare a special payload. We're going to disrupt the primary thought pattern projection node of the architects, if we can find it." Aris's research came into play. She identified a specific high-frequency signature emanating from a constellation of stars known in ancient Vorlag lore as the Weaver's Hand. This was likely where the architects projected their subtle influence across the galaxy. It was too far for a direct military assault, but it was a target for a specialized device. Valerius decided on a daring plan. He would send Jax Kane's team again, this time with a unique device developed by Earth's top quantum physicists and neuroengineers. The device, nicknamed the Silence, was designed to emit a localized quantum field that disrupted high-frequency thought patterns. It wouldn't kill the architects, but it would sever their connection to their puppets for a limited time. It was a temporary blackout. The mission was incredibly risky. The Shadow Moth had to travel deeper into uncharted space than ever before. Jax's team were not soldiers of direct combat. They were spies, infiltrators, but this was their new war. They were fighting the unseen hand that controlled the galaxy. Finn, the combat engineer, had a knack for improvising. He modified the Shadow Moth *S internal systems to handle the Silence device. Alara, the tech specialist, calibrated its output, making sure it only disrupted the specific architect signature, not everything else. Jax, stoic as ever, trained his team for every possible contingency. They would be alone, deep in enemy territory, without backup. The Shadow Moth made its jump. Days passed. On the * Vengeance *, Valerius oversaw the ongoing information warfare. The Council was in open revolt. Vorlag and Xylosian ships engaged in full-scale battles over fabricated border disputes. Other races began to question the Council's authority, their eyes opening to the widespread corruption humanity had fabricated. The architect's carefully built empire was crumbling from within. Speaker Cathar was distraught. He sent increasingly frantic pleas to the architect's hidden base on X7b. His thought patterns, normally composed, were now ragged, filled with fear. He could not understand why his council was turning on itself. The architect on X7b hummed with confusion. "The anomaly, it is, increasing its chaotic output." It detected the rising discord within the council. It tried to reassert control to project its calming thought patterns, but the effect was weaker than usual. It sensed a new variable, something it could not identify. It was the silence device approaching the Weaver's Hand. Jax Kane's team arrived at the Weaver's Hand constellation. It was a nebula of swirling gas and dust, beautiful but deadly. Deep within it, Alara detected the main architect projection node, a colossal, star-sized crystalline structure pulsing with immense energy. "It's like a brain," Alara whispered, awestruck, projecting thoughts across light years. Finn activated the silence device. It hummed to life, a low, resonant thrum that filled the Shadow Moth *S cockpit. The energy readings surged. "Device ready for deployment, Commander," Finn said, his voice strained. "We launch it, it will create a localized quantum field just big enough to encompass their main projection node." Jax nodded. "Launch!" The silence device, a sleek, dark probe, detached from the Shadow Moth *. It hurtled towards the crystalline structure. It activated. A ripple of distorted energy expanded from it, washing over the architect's projection node. Across the galaxy, within the minds of countless council members, the architect's subtle whispers suddenly ceased. Speaker Cathar was in the middle of a heated argument with the Xylosian ambassador. He felt a sudden, profound emptiness in his mind. The guiding voice, the reassuring presence that had always been there, was gone. A wave of confusion and panic washed over him. He looked at the Xylosian, truly seeing him for the first time without the architect's influence. All the fabricated anger, the manufactured grievances, suddenly felt hollow, meaningless. He blinked. "Wait," he said, his voice bewildered. "What were we fighting about?" Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The puppet strings had been cut. The council was now truly rudderless. On the Vengeance Valerius watched the galactic news feeds. The infighting had stopped. The council members were calling for truces, for explanations. Chaos had turned into stunned silence, then bewildered self-reflection. He felt a sense of grim satisfaction. This was Vance's true legacy, not just peace but truth. Aris on Earth analyzed the real-time data. "Valerius, the architect's primary projection is down, the council is disoriented. This is our window." Valerius activated the fleet-wide comms. His voice was calm, resolute. "All units, new orders, cease all hostile actions against council forces. We are no longer targeting them. We are targeting the truth." His voice was broadcast across all human frequencies and picked up by many council listening posts, no longer scrambled by architect manipulation. "To the Galactic Council, you murdered our ambassador. You thought us barbarians. We showed you what happens when you underestimate humanity. Now we will show you what has been done to you. For millennia, you are not masters of your own fate. You are puppets." He broadcast Jax Kane's footage of the architect, along with Vance's decrypted logs, across every single open frequency in the galaxy. He sent it to every council world, every news outlet, every private citizen. The truth, raw and undeniable, flooded the galactic networks. The galaxy reeled. The revelation was shattering. Species confronted their leaders. Protests erupted on council worlds. The very foundation of their order crumbled. They realized they were not just misled, but controlled. The Xylosians, the Vorlag, the other council races. They looked at humanity, not with fear, but with a complex mix of hatred, grudging respect, and a dawning understanding. Humanity was the anomaly, the one species that couldn't be so easily controlled, the one that exposed the lie. Valerius stood on the bridge of the Vengeance *. The fighting had stopped. The galaxy was quiet, but it was the quiet before a different kind of storm, a storm of truth. He looked at Anya. "This isn't the end, Lieutenant, it's just the beginning." Anya nodded slowly. "Commander, what happens now?" Valerius looked out at the stars. "Now we rebuild, and we teach the galaxy what true freedom tastes like." He remembered Elias Vance. His mentor had believed in peace, but he had also believed in the truth. And sometimes the truth was the most destructive weapon of all. The galaxy had been annihilated, not by weapons, but by an inconvenient, undeniable truth. And humanity, the anomalous species, had unleashed it. The *HDRS Vengeance turned its prow towards the void, a silent sentinel in a galaxy forever changed. The image of the wooden bird Valerius holds in his hand seemed to glow faintly. A small thing. A great change. He closed his eyes for a moment, remembering Vance's last, sad gaze. This was for him, this was for all of humanity, this was their answer. And it was only just the beginning. The galactic landscape had shattered. The architects, now exposed, retracted into their hidden enclaves, their ancient manipulation techniques rendered useless by the sheer, unbridled chaos of truth. The Council, stripped of its subtle guidance, splintered. Centuries of carefully maintained alliances and power structures unraveled in a matter of weeks. The Vorlag, inherently rigid, fell into internal conflict. Speaker Cathar was overthrown by a reformist faction, who, for the first time, truly debated their species' future without the architect's influence. The Xylosians, now aware of the engineered slights against them, demanded reparations and actively dismantled their trade agreements with the former council members. New, independent alliances began to form. Humanity, initially viewed with suspicion, now found itself in a strange, pivotal position. They were the ones who unleashed the truth. They were feared, yes, but also grudgingly respected, and in some corners even seen as liberators. Valerius Thorne became a symbol of humanity's grim resolve. He was no longer just a military commander. He was a reluctant architect of a new galactic order. He found himself spending more time in diplomatic meetings, albeit unconventional ones, than on the bridge of the Vengeance asterisk. Commander Thorne, a newly elected Xylosian representative, Councillor Zalara, said during a tense meeting via holographic projection, "Your methods were brutal, your information warfare deceitful. Yet you exposed a truth that kept us enslaved for millennia. How do we reconcile this?" Valerius looked at the shimmering image of Zalara. Her scales shifted with her emotions. "We did what was necessary to survive, Counselor, and to avenge our dead. We did not ask for this war, it was thrust upon us. Now the choice is yours, remain puppets or build something new, something truly free." He pushed for a truth summit, a galaxy-wide convention where species could openly discuss the architect's manipulations and forge new paths, free from ancient biases. It was a long, arduous process, filled with distrust and old resentments. Eris Thorne was instrumental in this new phase. Her expertise in xenolinguistics and cultural studies, once used to understand alien societies for peaceful integration, was now repurposed to help them understand the architect's insidious methods and to help the splintered council races untangle the web of lies. She worked closely with reformist elements from various species. She deciphered more of Vance's hidden messages. In one log, Vance revealed his growing understanding of the architect's long-term plan. They weren't just maintaining order. They were subtly guiding galactic evolution towards a specific end, weeding out species deemed too chaotic or too volatile through engineered conflicts and societal collapses. Humanity, with its rapid technological advancement, its emotional intensity, and its fierce individualism, was deemed too dangerous, an unpredictable variable that could derail their millennia-long experiment. This explained the harshness of their judgment and execution of Vance. He represented the unpredictable. Eris shared this with Valerius. "They saw us as a virus, Valerius, an infection in their perfectly ordered system." Valerius felt a fresh wave of cold anger. "Then we will be the cure, Eris. We will show them that chaos can breed something far more resilient than their sterile order." Jax Kane and his team, the Shadow Moth Asterisk crew, now conducted reconnaissance missions, searching for other architect enclaves. They found several, hidden in deep nebulae or behind gravitational anomalies. These enclaves were smaller, less centralized, but still active, housing architect overseers, who now struggled to re-establish their lost control. They were like frustrated gardeners whose carefully tended plants were suddenly growing wildly. The Silence device, now a prototype, was further refined by human scientists. It was replicated and distributed to trusted, newly formed allied forces, allowing them to counter any lingering architect influence. Humanity was sharing its unique anti-manipulation technology. This earned them trust where force could not. One particular architect enclave was found hidden within the core of a dead star. Jax's team discovered it by detecting faint, erratic thought pattern projections. The architects in their desperation were making mistakes. Inside, the architects were furious. They were debating, their energy forms flickering with agitation. They lamented the collapse of the galactic experiment. They discussed contingency plans, resetting the timeline, and eradicating the anomaly. They were talking about eliminating humanity. Jack sent a critical report to Valerius. "Commander, they're planning something, a final solution for us." Valerius received the report during a Truth Summit meeting with the New Zelosian and Vorlag representatives. The tension in the room was palpable. He shared the information. The Zelosians and Vorlag, once bitter enemies, now shared a common enemy, the architects. "They will not succeed," Valerius stated, his voice low but firm. "We are not an anomaly to be eradicated. We are a force of nature, and we will fight for our right to exist and for the freedom of every species in this galaxy." A new alliance was forged, not of council decrees, but of shared adversity and a burning desire for true self-determination. The Zelosians, with their advanced sensor technology, and the Vorlag, with their formidable military might, began to coordinate with humanity. Their combined forces launched a series of targeted strikes against the newly discovered architect enclaves. These were not the stealthy, surgical strikes of the Vengeance. These were joint, full-scale military operations. The architect enclaves, though ancient and powerful, were accustomed to subtle manipulation, not direct confrontation. Their defenses were designed to deter, to confuse, not to withstand a concerted assault from unified, free-willed forces. The battles were fierce. Humanity's adaptability, the Zelosians' precision, and the Vorlag's raw power combined into an unstoppable force. The architects' energy forms, when directly attacked, dissipated like smoke. One by one, their enclaves were dismantled. During one such battle against the largest remaining architect enclave, Valerius led the charge in the Vengeance Asterisk. It was a chaotic, exhilarating dance of destruction. He saw the flashes of allied weapons, heard the cries of his crew, and felt the thrum of his ship as it sliced through enemy formations. He felt no joy, only a grim satisfaction. This was the price of their freedom. As the last architect enclave fell, a strange peace settled over the galaxy. The whispers were gone, the manipulation had ceased. Species, for the first time in millennia, were truly alone and free. The period that followed was one of immense upheaval and growth. Without the architect's subtle guidance, many species struggled to adapt. Some fell into internal strife. Others flourished, discovering their true potential. Humanity offered aid, not as conquerors, but as partners. Elias Thorne established the Galactic Truth Repository, an open-source database of all information uncovered about the architects, their methods, and the true histories of the Council races. It became a beacon for new academic research, for rebuilding trust, and for forging new, honest relationships. Valerius Thorne retired from active command, his duty fulfilled. He was now a celebrated, if quiet, hero. He spent his days on a small estate on a quiet moon, tending to a garden. He still carried the wooden bird carving Vance gave him. It was a constant reminder of the man whose death sparked a revolution. One day, Eris visited him. She brought him a new data slate. "Valerius," she said, her voice softer than it used to be, "we've made contact with a few of the more advanced species, those who managed to resist the architect's influence or were too ancient to be bothered. They knew about the architects. They called them the Weavers, and they said that their guidance was a necessary evil to prevent a more destructive chaos. They never expected any species to break free." Valerius looked at the data slate, then at the vast, clear sky. Chaos or self-determination, he mused. Perhaps they feared what true freedom would unleash. He smiled, a rare, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "We're still learning, Eris, all of us, and that's what makes us special. We're not afraid to learn. We're not afraid to change. We're not afraid of the unknown." He looked at the wooden bird. Vance would have been proud, not of the annihilation, but of what came after, the truth, the new beginning. The galaxy was now truly vast, truly unknown, and truly free. Humanity, the anomaly that broke the galactic cage, stood ready, not to dominate, but to explore, to innovate, to adapt, and to protect the newfound freedom for all. The story of Earth's ambassador, killed in cold blood, became the spark that ignited a new dawn. A dawn of truth, of chaos, and of glorious, unbridled freedom, shaped by the unexpected, indomitable spirit of humanity. The *HDRS Vengeance *, now repurposed as a deep space exploration vessel, bore a new inscription on its hull. Truth unveiled. Its crew, a mix of humans, reformed Vorlag, and curious Zalosians, ventured into the new galaxy, a galaxy no longer controlled but truly discovered. A galaxy where humanity's impact